a scale from 1 to 10, how bad's my rig?
10.
We drilled to the bottom of the ocean, and we don't know what came out.
Gotta get to the station.
How would we even get there?
We walk.
We're just gonna walk with insufficient oxygen across the bottom of the ocean.
You don't know what's out there.
Worst idea ever.
Welcome to the last episode of the podcast that wouldn't die. I'm your host, Kevin. With me, as always, is Aaron.
Hello.
This week, we'll be discussing the new classic, Underwater, starring Kristen Stewart.
Is that Kristen Stewart? What do I know her from?
Twilight.
Oh! I did see one of the Twilight movies. Well, I like her better here. That's for damn straight.
And there's other vaguely recognizable individuals in this as well that I will not go into at this moment.
Yeah. I recognize the captain and then the dude from Silicon Valley or whatever.
Right, T.J. Miller and Vincent Castle.
T.J. Fox.
So give us a 30-second synopsis of Underwater, the creatively titled Underwater.
I don't even need 30 seconds. It's alien deep on the ocean floor. It even has a Ripley. The end.
That's all you need to know.
That's all you need to know.
Now, you'd never heard of this movie, is that correct?
No. And it's hard to know what's out and about now that we don't have movies at the theaters because there's now no ads for anything. How did you hear about it?
There were ads for this like a year ago, January.
All right.
Basically, January is the dumping ground of movies that they don't think are going to do very well. So this was one of those that got dumped just like 2 months before COVID struck us all down. So
okay. I mean, it was entertaining. I thought it was at high tension,
yes.
Entertaining. You know, when sea monkeys attack, all of that.
When sea monkeys attack, for God's sakes.
Maybe if they used that tagline,
things would have been different, I think. Definitely. Sweet Jesus.
It has a terrible name.
The name is not great. To be honest, but it's interesting because for me, you see Alien, and I definitely see there's definitely those connections.
Yes.
But to me, it reminds me of kind of like the late '80s. There were a truckload of terror at the bottom of the ocean movies.
Well, there was Ghost Ship.
No, that's on top of the ocean. I'm talking at the bottom of the ocean.
What are some of the bottom of the ocean classics that I've missed out on?
You got Deep Star 6.
Missed it.
There's like it's a giant like lobster creature down at the bottom. It's always like an oil rig at the bottom. Because why else are you at the bottom of the ocean? It's always got an oil derrick at the bottom of the ocean. Okay. Deep Star 6 had a crab thing. Then there was a movie called Leviathan. Deep Star 6.
I heard of that, but I didn't see it.
Deep Star 6 starred Greg Evigan from BJ and the Bear. So
BJ and the Bear,
yes.
Or a year at the top.
Good stuff. Leviathan starred Peter Weller, RoboCop, and a bunch of other recognizable actors. This one is, I don't know if they're on a submarine or something along those lines, but there's like a thing-like creature on board that's like taking over people's bodies that they have to deal with.
Now, let me ask you this.
Yes.
Is this really what happened at the Deepwater Horizon? Is this based on a true story?
Based on it, exactly. This is it. God's truth. And then, of course, the most heralded of the bottom of the ocean movies, The Abyss, with an all-star cast: Ed Harris, Michael Biehn, Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio.
I'm still not sure I saw that either. Maybe
that was nominated for Academy Awards. It was James Cameron. That
doesn't mean I saw it.
It had all sorts of, although in this case, as is often James Cameron's staple, it's the people who are the bad people. Who are bad, and the beings they meet at the bottom of the ocean are actually friendly. So there you go.
Well, these are not friendly.
Spoiler alert.
But we don't know what these necessarily are or why, you know.
Right. Well, why don't we jump right in? Again, I call it the highlights. It's really, what the hell is this?
Well, I mean, And to say, we don't know what the shark's motivation in Jaws other than snacking. We
That's
don't know
correct.
what the sea monkey's motivation is.
That is stipulated, yes. Who's to say?
Who's to say?
That's right.
But all I can tell you, don't flush sea monkeys down the toilet. See,
Don't do it.
Look what happened.
It's like the alligators in the sewers. It's the sea monkeys at the
Exactly.
bottom of the ocetion.
Or
Um,
the chuds. The chuds feed on the alligators. If
No
there were
question.
no alligators, the chuds would have to go away.
One thing I will say about this movie is there's no exposition. It jumps right. She's brushing her damn teeth for 5 minutes, and then the whole place is going up in
It's
smoke.
bang!
Yes, bang. We don't know who she is. I mean, there's definitely a little bit of exposition, like during the opening credits, where they're at the bottom of the ocean. It's an oil rig. They show like schematics flashing by and maps and things like that. So you definitely know what the setting is.
So I'm guessing this is unlike Deepwater Horizon. This is like a location that's so deep that you can't even be above the surface.
They say it's literally the bottom of the Marianas Trench,
All right.
is what they say. They say it's like 36,000 feet. So the whole place, it is going up. It's like racked with earthquakes. And I mean, we don't really realize the full.
We don't know what's happening.
Right.
Things are just shaking and exploding and doors are open, and that doesn't seem right.
Right. The pressure is so strong at the bottom of the ocean. It could crush this whole thing like a tin can,
Right.
basically.
And then there was all this the stuff at the beginning that I didn't read, but apparently, like, you will literally implode.
Right. Well, and we find that out early.
Yeah.
Like they
People are
understand.
popping like zits.
In every movie, The Abyss, blah blah blah. There's always a scene where it's like, oh my god, the place is filling up with water. We got to close it. Where
Yeah.
people are banging on the no, don't close it on me, kind of thing. Fine.
Help!
Blah, 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 blah. That's standard. What isn't
Yeah.
standard is where they're wearing these deep sea diving outfits, and they open up the thing, and I guess open up a door to let the water in so they can get out into the ocean. And the pressure's so great. This guy's wearing a defective suit. He just pops like a grape. Pow!
Pops like all of a sudden you hear the tinkling of the glass.
And that was it. Yeah.
That was it, man. There should be like you figure there'd be like some kind of test for these $1 million suits, but it's not.
Well, I think it was damaged in the place, like going.
I
up.
mean, these things are high tech, and you know what also confuses me
Please.
about these movies? Water and electricity don't seem to be a problem.
Not
in
a
these
problem at all.
movies. They
No
all
problem.
should have been just electrocuted the first time they dipped a toe. End of movie.
Multiple times. Well, and I also wrote this down. It would be frickin' freezing.
Yeah.
It would be free. Anytime you're dealing with the deep ocean water, it would be like you're in the Arctic.
Agreed, brother bear.
You'd be
Agreed.
and you never see anybody like, "Ooh, it's so cold." Oh my goodness!
I got the chivers.
Right? You don't hear that. And I kept thinking to myself, if you're going to be killed in this movie, right, dragged off by some malignant sea creature, wouldn't you rather
Yes.
just pop like a grape and then you're done? There's no
I
suffocation.
kept thinking I ain't going out there. I'll just sit here and like implode with the ship. Screw that.
Well, and it's
I
like,
don't want to be eaten alive, or we don't even know what's happening to those people. I was like, pass, hop on in there.
well, and that's the thing. Early on, we don't know. No one knows what's caused this. They think it's just an earthquake. Just an earthquake.
Right.
So all the escape pods have been launched. And this is an interesting question we're going to talk about in a little bit. So they have to like walk across the ocean floor wearing these suits to another base where they hope will be some escape pods, basically.
Right. And it's pitch black because light doesn't travel that far.
Right.
Far.
Either one. I've heard it both ways. It's pitch black, and again, it is the pressure's so great it will crush you. It will. If anything happens to your suit, you are dead in a fraction of a second.
Yeah,
Squish.
you're taking a Dixie cup and giving it a little squish.
And in some ways, it's like then you don't even have to. If the creature gets you, again, initially they don't even know that there are creatures because they don't know what's causing things. If
Right.
a creature gets into your suit, You don't have to worry about being eaten. You're dead anyway.
You're dead
You're
anyway.
popped before they get their first nibble. So I guess is that a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know.
But we learned later on they seem to be relatively fragile at the same time. I'm not sure. Sometimes they attack you, they can suck you right out of the suit. Other times they swallow you whole and you pull a Ghostbuster on them and whammo, now you're expelled out.
That is correct. So as they're going on, they first see a little like kind of squiggly chest buster kind of critter that they look at like, well, this is weird. Then they see other kind of like tentacle type things in the window.
Like mer people swimming by.
Yes. So that's what's causing a lot of the damage. Actually, we don't know that has done any of the damage yet.
Right.
We just know
know they're out there, they're tapping, they're peeking, they're
and growling.
Looking,
yes.
And growling, and they are effed up. These are some ugly sea monkeys.
Yes. Well, their mouths are kind of like lampreys or something, where they kind of open up and they can literally they try to swallow your head.
It does have the head of the original Alien baby out of William Hurt's chest. But now when they get bigger, there's more flexibility in the mouth.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Like a hagfish or something where they literally
Oh, you're
suck
going
you
deep. What are you like a life scientist, a marine biologist?
Amateur oceanographer.
It's a lamprey, it's a hogfish,
it's a hogfish. That's exactly right.
It's a swarm of bullshit. Is that what I'm hearing?
Some call them A, some call them B. Who's to say? Who would ever know? So basically, oh sweet Jesus. So, I mean, and I have to say, and I said this to you, when I first started it, I don't know if it was just the idea of this environment. My tension was racked up. It was at 11
for it, man.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely, because I wasn't going to get tricked again after Alien, and it seemed to be an Alien kind of dealio, clearly. So I was not going to underestimate what was going to happen next.
Right.
And I'm telling you, it held my suspense. I mean, I don't want to compare it to superhero movies, but I found it more interesting because I really didn't know what was going to happen next.
Yeah.
Versus Captain America is a bunch of bullshit. But at the same time, this is not an Academy Award-winning movie. Can we agree with that?
I absolutely agree with that.
But it keeps the suspense and hangs on. And the CGI, my son came in and pronounced his review of reading whatever 4chan or Reddit says that the CGI is amazing. He's like, I read the story's weak, but the CGI is amazing. And then he said some Warcraft bullshit to me, and I ignored him.
It doesn't break new ground by any stretch of the imagination. And frankly, I found that my overall tension decreased because you're eventually you just get used to them wandering around the bottom of the ocean. You know what I mean?
Because there's never a time when they're like, oh, we're safe. It's kind of like, what's that Adam Sandler where he's the jewelry dealer? Where you're just high tension the whole time, and eventually you just can't sustain it.
Right. You get used to this normal of this world.
Right. It almost would have been better if they thought you were safe and everybody just kind of relaxes for a second, and then it goes, yeah, but it didn't do that.
Right. Well, it's one bad thing after another. There's multiple times where they have to squeeze through certain areas.
I wouldn't care with that. I wouldn't care for that.
No, that's especially because it's all waterlogged. So it's like all sorts of water in a tight space. There's a movie that I saw once. It's about spelunking. I don't know why I have to use that word. Cave diving.
And why was it called spelunking?
It's from the Greek.
It's from the Greek splunk, which means hole in the ground.
That's correct. And it's called The Descent, and they go down in this, and it's a lot of initially squirming through these little openings in the rock, and I'm literally going, I can't. No monsters yet. Just the idea of this is what somebody does, because I'm a big guy, So if I'm doing the spelunking, I'm getting stuck in this little
Yes.
thing, and then I'm screwed. No,
Well,
I'm not
I
doing
used
that.
to have nightmare. I must have watched something between that and falling into a glacier, a crevasse. I have this fear that
Yes.
I'm just going to slide in there somehow, and no one's going to find me, and I'm going to be stuck there.
Right.
Plus, it's ice, so it's cold,
Yep.
and that's going to hurt. It's going to burn like fire, and now you're trapped.
Yep.
You can't gnaw off. I mean, it'd be one thing if it's your arm, you can gnaw that off, but you can't gnaw off your lower half unless
No, you
you're a
can't.
zombie from The Walking Dead.
You
It's like
can't do it.
crawling up the hill.
It's a sad situation. So
No.
there's a lot of kind of primordial things going on here because no one wants to drown, no one wants to get crushed, no one wants to get stuck in a little thing. So they're kind of tugging on those strings a little bit, even before they introduce that there's monsters. You know what I mean? So the monsters just icing on the cake. There were some definitely scary moments where they're kind of in the water, panning around with the light, flashlight. And you see like kind of the little glimpse of the critter kind of jumping out of the way of the light.
Mm-hmm.
Those are some creepy moments.
Yes.
No question.
Oh my God! And the one dude is right. He's like, I saw Slenderman out there. They are literally like some kind of effed up sea monkey Slenderman.
They are.
And the way they slowly reveal, you just see the head looking at you and disappearing and popping up behind you and disappearing.
Right.
Ah.
Well, because at first glance, the heads of these creatures are kind of humanish. But then when you get a closer look, then they're the mouth and all that. Yeah. And then it takes a dark turn. The closer you see.
They're not humanoid.
Well, they have
They're-
arms. They have arms and fingers and.
So does a monkey. A dog has legs. they could be. They're sea monkeys.
They're sea monkeys. Yes.
If a sea monkey and a Slenderman came together with the baby from Alien, there you have it.
I will say that there were some times where it was hard for me to understand physically what was happening because they're all wearing the same suits. You're like, who's getting yanked over here? Who's getting pulled over there? I have no idea.
Yes, there's a lot of quick movements.
Yes.
Well, and that works for that because the people don't know what's happening, and then things are murky. I don't know. There's smegma or something floating in the water.
Okay.
We don't know what the hell that is. There's some reproducing going on. So things are murky and creepy, and there's no light. Although there was a strange amount of light at the bottom of the ocean.
Well, even when they turned off all the lights, it wasn't.
There's
pitch
still
black.
too much
Yes,
light.
no question.
And it should be, you cannot see your hand.
Right. It should be totally pitch
Like
black.
Pitch Black.
Yes.
Like the movie Pitch Black, where it was pitch black.
Yes, but it's a movie. So if they just turn off all the lights,
I
then it's just a
believe
black
that one.
screen.
Pitch Black is a movie too.
Yeah, you can still go back and watch Pitch Black. You can still see things. It's never like just a black screen where you're like, I hear noises. Interesting. You're talking about the weird. At one point, the marine biologist says, it might be a form of algae. And I said, algae? Is that how it's pronounced in England? Algae?
Yeah, I don't know. They make some shit up.
They do their own damn thing.
Angleterre.
For Rizzle. Okay.
Okay, Snoop.
Eventually, they make their way to the station. There's only a few people left. And again, they're saying, we don't have enough oxygen. But it seems like people survive for an incredibly long time where it's like oxygen critical. Like they're dragging that one homie around the bottom of the seafloor who's like his air scrubbers messed
and
up.
What did I miss? What happened to him?
Okay.
I mean, we're so caught up with Blonde Ripley
Yes.
that we forget about everybody else.
Okay. So at one point, I guess the reactor on the old station goes up and starts sending shrapnel and debris, huge chunks of things falling down on them, right? And they're running,
Right.
oh my God, at the bottom of the seafloor. And I guess the homie, like off camera, gets clipped by something that messes up his air scrubber. And they don't really tell us what the hell that means, but evidently it assists with the breathing. You have to have it or you get carbon dioxide poison. I don't know. Something happened.
I don't know if that was the oxygen. It's the oxygen filter.
It's something like that.
It seems like it should last more than 15 minutes when you're at the bottom of the ocean.
You would think. However, so they say, "Oh, it's jacked. What are we going to do?" And they're like, "That's okay. We'll help you. We'll help you walk across." But if you're suffocating to death, I mean, he seems to be like chilling at the bottom of the ocean. He
had the sweetest trip the whole time. He didn't have to do anything. He just laid there while some chick with like 90 pounds who doesn't even seem to know why she's there is dragging him across the ocean floor.
Look, Grandpa Joe and Willy Wonka in the Chocolate Factory did more work in his average day than this guy was doing. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
They were really dragging him. And then when they get into the base, they're like, pop his helmet off. He's like, "Oh, I'm fine. Cool. I'm good." It's like, really?
Mm-hmm.
Why couldn't you get off your ass and help us?
You bastard.
So, yeah, they get separated. Everybody else is killed, but it's the English marine biologist, her engineer boyfriend, and then Blonde Ripley are the only three, spoiler alert, are the only people left who make it into the final place. But there's a big reveal before that where it's like you think, and again, it was hard as hell to see this. Evidently, the sea monkeys were like asleep with their arms dangling down, blocking entrance. And I'm like, what am I seeing? It was hard.
We don't know.
Right. Well, they seem to know. They were like, "Oh my God, there's so many of them. Why are they all?" And I'm like, "What the? It looks like seaweed to me."
There's all different sizes because at one point when they bring in a baby or a little one in, they're like, "What if it's a baby?"
Right.
So, yeah, it is a baby.
Right. So then that kind of reveals, because then the whole thing lifts up and it reveals like this gigantic creature, like as big as a mountain, like a Godzilla type creature with tentacles and all sorts of stuff. And that's supposed to be the grand reveal.
The grand reveal is Super Mama.
Yes.
I'm guessing this is some form of asexual reproduction since we don't see Papa Bear.
That's correct. Correct.
I mean, that was pretty awesome.
Right. They don't allow you to get a good long look at it because it's all dark and I mean, you can see it's gigantic. And clearly this is the thing that was causing the issues. That was breaking up the undersea derrick. It wasn't those little critters. It was, or little, they're like 6 feet tall or whatever. It's this huge creature that was smashing things, evidently.
But it's very far away. I mean, it was over at what they call the Sears and Roebuck station.
So she had like a flare gun that she used to escape from the bowels of one creature, right?
Right.
That swallowed her whole. And then she takes the second flare and just shoots it at the giant creature. And I kept thinking, why are you doing that? What are you just saying? Here I am? Is that what you're doing?
Here I am, the one that you love.
Clearly. Sweet Jesus.
Yeah, that was strictly for us. It made no real sense of the story. Oh, I'm just curious.
Yes.
And I really want to see what's going to happen once they see me.
Right.
Hopefully they eat me and my idiot boyfriend.
Again, as big as a mountain. So this thing is not going to be affected by one little crazy flare. So it was like,
right.
Put the crack pipe down. So they make it in there, and there's like a few pods left. And I kept again. I've seen enough of these deep sea movies. You have to depressurize every so often, right? You have to.
Do you?
Yes, you do. Otherwise, you'll just explode or something.
All right.
It's like you on some level you acclimate to that level at the bottom of the ocean. And then as you go up so many fathoms or leagues or whatever, you have to stop and then depressurize to that level. Like I saw 47 meters down where these girls are in a shark cage, and the shark cage snaps off and drops to the bottom of the ocean, 47 meters, okay? Which is half a football field, right? And they made a point to say, you can't just swim up because you'll get the bends.
Right. You have to go up gradually.
Yes.
But I thought you were saying if you're down below that you have to depressurize every so often.
You do. That is what I'm saying.
So how do they do that? I mean, I know you have to slowly rise to the
So-
surface. Although the escape pod shot up like
That's
a
exactly
rocket.
like in the abyss, which isn't as low as this movie. They say like when we're ready to go up, we'll literally have to depressurize for 2 weeks. Like stay in a depressurization chamber for 2 weeks while it slowly acclimates your body back to those atmospheres or whatever.
Wow.
So, and that's the thing about 47 meters down. Like, there's sharks all over the place, but they can't just swim straight up. They have to go
Right.
so far, and then they have to stop, and then wait, until however long, 10 minutes or whatever it is, long enough to get eaten by a shark. So, this movie, they don't deal with that at all. They're like, whatever, escape pods, jump in the escape pods, it'll shoot you right up. You're good to go. You're fine. I don't know. Maybe there's some new technology. I accept I'm not an expert on this. All I know is from what the movies tell me.
I just play one on TV.
In Deep Star 6, a guy tries to escape, and they're like, no, you can't. It'll kill you. And he jumps in the escape pod without depressurizing and explodes.
Pop.
Pop, pop, like a grape. They don't talk about that here, thankfully. So who the hell knows? Is it science? I don't know. Do you know, now I did a little research. Do you know what these creatures are not original creations for this movie? They are based upon a pre-existing work.
I already told you this.
What is it?
They are sea monkeys.
Exactly. I'm glad we covered that. No, no. These sea creatures, and especially the gigantic creature, all are based upon the works of H.P. Lovecraft.
Oh, this is some Cthulhu.
That is correct.
crud.
That's correct.
You did say that before, and I ignored it.
The giant.
This is not very Cthulhu.
It's Cthulhu.
Cthulhu light.
Right. Although, so we're going to talk about this. The giant mountain creature is meant to be Cthulhu, the deity, the evil sea deity from H.P. Lovecraft fiction. Okay, the smaller creatures are what is referred to in the books as the deep ones.
All right.
There was a story he wrote called Shadow at Innsmouth, which dealt with these sea creatures who come up and basically mate with people. So the people in this town all had kind of a crazy fishy look because they were like half secret, but there was also like a cult kind of
Can't
thing.
you move away from the town? Do you have to have sex with the sea monkeys?
Well, it's basically like they say, if you let us do this, we'll give you the riches of the sea kind of thing. So, and in typical H.P. Lovecraft fashion, there's always some outsider who comes to town and is like, what the hell is going on here? Only to discover that his parents are from that town or something. So really,
That's
he's
right.
got the fish gene.
Exactly.
So, yeah, good times.
Once a month, you have that not so fresh
Okay.
smell. Is that what
That's
it is?
exactly what it is. Sweet Jesus. So yeah, there's no mention of any of this kind of Cthulhu stuff. It's just creatures under the sea. However, I did a little research, and there's a scene which kind of makes no sense. There's a couple scenes where you're kind of like, what does this mean? The captain talks about his daughter,
Right.
who's 14. She's like, 14? She should be my age. What are you talking about? And it's revealed that the daughter died at 14. And that's why that's the image still stuck in the captain's mind for some reason. Now,
What?
right. So I'm putting it all together. Hang on. So when they first meet the captain in the escape pod room, he talks about how a bunch of people have already left.
Right.
Is what they said. So there's no more
Right.
escape pods. I'm the captain. I'm going down. It's what captains do. Blah, blah, blah. At the end of the movie, it's revealed only 2 people escaped.
Okay.
The 2 at the end of the movie. So the question is, were all the other people just killed by the sea monkeys?
That's what I assume, because at the very end, they were after the pods.
Right. Or is it somehow the captain's in on this and he just released the pods? I don't know. because
That seems far fetched.
it might be, but in his Foot Locker or whatever that she discovers, there's like a map of the area, and if you look, the red lines that kind of connect all the things together form a pentagram. And in Lovecraftian Cthulhu fiction, there's always like human cultists that are involved in this kind of like summoning Cthulhu kind of thing. So they don't explicitly say any of this stuff. It's just kind of like random little things kind of dipped in there that if you're not paying attention, you wouldn't even notice.
All right. So to simplify things, if the captain was in on all this,
Yes.
he would have just said, you know what? We're doomed. Let's go get something to eat, and there's nothing we can do about it.
Well,
instead of this weird
here's the question.
adventure.
Because he's the one who suggests they walk miles and miles across the ocean floor to get to the other place.
Right.
And she says, I want you to acknowledge that we could die doing this. And he says, well, I want you to acknowledge that we could live doing this too. So is he kind of like, is this a sacrifice that would not be available if we stay and blow up? I don't know.
I'm not picking that up.
I don't know. I'm throwing it out there.
Picking it up.
I'm just throwing it out there.
I'm throwing it back out.
Good times.
Yeah, I'm not feeling that. I'm not feeling that.
Okay. I'm just putting it out there. This is what I do. It could be baloney. I don't think it is though.
I vote for baloney.
Well, why?
And malarkey.
Then what is the significance of the dead 14-year-old daughter?
Well, because the British chick says at one point when she makes the comment about shouldn't she be this age, and the British chick says, "Oh yeah, that's common in moments of crisis. You remember them at a certain time that whatever was satisfying to you."
No, and I understand that, but why did the screenwriters include it?
Oh well, there's a lot of questions. We could have a whole podcast.
Yes, we could.
Why would they write that?
Yes. That's
it doesn't necessarily imply Slenderman killed Kennedy.
It could be though. There's a scene where they're squeezing through. They're wearing their big deep sea diving things, right? And Blonde Ripley goes, "Let me go first. I'm the smallest."
Right.
Which would mean something if she wasn't wearing a huge scuba suit, and all the scuba suits are about the same size.
Right. You've got that big neck collar.
Right.
So that really doesn't matter. It's like your head. If you can get your head through, you can get everything through. So if she can get that suit through, that's it.
Right. Well, it could just be like, I'm going through. Let me go first. I want to be the first one saved. She's no hero, is what I'm trying to say.
Did you ever know that you're my hero? Do you find it very annoying that she's wearing the most painful bra for someone who has no boobs at all?
Well, and known sex offender makes a comment. TJ Miller comments about how, my little flat-chested fairy angel or something like that to her.
I mean, at one point she has, which is what you would buy in the preteen section, and I'm not dissing people with small boobs, but it has these enormous buckles. And anyone who wears a bra knows it's uncomfortable, and they're always trying to find ways to make bras more comfortable. But metal buckles is not the way.
I hear buckles are coming back. I don't
Buckles
know.
are coming back on underwear, on socks.
That's it.
The Puritan looks in.
Pilgrims. That's how we do it. Do you have any highlights you want to
I
talk
literally wrote 4 lines.
Yeah, I didn't write much.
Slenderman, alien vibe. The longest thing I wrote about was the buckles on the bra. Oh, and I think the end was stupid.
Which part?
I like the part where she blows everything up, but then at the end they have this happy ending. They're like, oh, survivors, and like these news stories about the 2 people who made it, in case you weren't sure. And the government, all these like fake news stories about the 2 survivors. I found that hokey and lame-o.
Well, I think the more important thing is that they talk about how they're going to keep drilling. They're not giving up. They're going back, and Yeah.
None of that was necessary because with every movie in the world, corporations are bad and evil, and the Deepwater Horizon, they're booting that up, or they've already booted it up.
Yeah, but that wasn't attacked by crazy monsters. As far
We
as
don't
we know.
know.
As far as we
We
know.
don't know.
Yep.
You know they got the shrimp and crab in there. That's not too far from a sea monkey. A sea monkey is in fact a kind of brine shrimp.
It's not a kind of brine shrimp.
It is brine shrimp. But these are clearly radioactive or something, because my sea monkeys grew maybe as long as my pinky nail, not 900 feet tall.
Well, one can only hope. You never know.
And will there be Godzilla versus the brine shrimp?
Yes.
Cthulhu versus Mothra?
Yes, that is correct.
Slenderman versus Sea Slenderman?
Why not?
Why not?
It's like Alien versus Predator. No matter who wins, we lose.
And then there's all that Japanese erotica with tentacle
Okay.
creatures.
Okay. Thank you.
Throw that into the mix.
Well, it's like H.R. Giger, who designed the Aliens. Same sorts of things.
Say he
Bizarre.
is a bizarro man.
Let's hit behind the scenes, shall we?
Is there behind the
There's
scenes?
many. Actors wore airtight suits for the underwater scenes, and it was
Because they didn't want to get trench foot?
they didn't want to get trench foot. It was hard for them to hear the director's commands, and each
I
suit
bet.
wore about 140 pounds,
I believe that.
which is about twice as what Kristen Stewart weighs in this movie on her own. It's very upsetting.
Exactly.
Shooting took place for this movie in the spring of 2017, but it was not released until January of 2020, almost 3 years later.
Okay, because Kristen Stewart slept with this director also?
That'll do it every time. I believe it was due to the purchase of Disney bought 20th Century Fox, which kind of the things that Fox had in the hopper, some of them got kind of shuffled around, some got put on the back burner. Very upsetting. Let's see. They shot on dark stages with no lights for the underwater scenes. So, and then they would add like kind of particles into the water to kind of add kind of.
I believe I
mystery.
referred to that as their schmeg. Well,
I was hoping not to. Go ahead.
We gotta say it again. Well, it's kind of like a planktony stew kind of look.
Yeah, exactly. This was the last movie that was released under 20th Century Fox name, because after Disney acquired it, it became like 20th Century Studios. I don't know if that's of importance to anybody.
No.
Kristen Stewart, who played Blonde Ripley, as we call her,
All right.
was supposed to be barefoot in all of her scenes, but they were afraid she would slice up her feet on just random detritus, so they elected not to. Very sad. In the beginning of the movie, there's a spider that she saves from the sink.
Well, the creatures kind of look like spiders too.
Here's the thing. It would have been impossible for there to be spiders down there.
What would they? Well, what would they eat?
Exactly. Because there's no...
the bed bugs they also brought with them?
That's exactly right. So it makes no sense. I guess at one point they were going to have it be a moth in the sink, but they thought that might be a little too Guillermo del Toro, so they switched to that.
Or Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah.
What if Silence of the Lambs meets underwater?
Exactly, it's the exact same thing. But the idea of the scene is so that the audience immediately gets on her side. Oh, she's a good person. She saves the spider from the sink, rather than flushing it down the drain like any normal person would do.
Okay, and what did she do with it? She opened a window and put it outside?
She opened the hatch. That's what caused the problems.
Maybe the problem is this is the spy sea monkey, and it was sending messages back.
Exactly. Similar to how in Horror Express, they only had one set, and then they kind of redressed it. They also did the same thing for this movie. So when they're on the Kepler station or the Roebuck station, it's all the same damn station.
Of course.
Because that's how they do. Anything else? Oh, There's that scene, recurring thing, where it's like the one dude, TJ Miller, has like a little fake stuffed bunny rabbit that he was carrying around.
Yes.
At one point, it was supposed to be a real bunny rabbit. Okay.
Well, that's ridiculous also.
Yeah, where they would have kind of used like CGI after the fact to kind of put a real bunny rabbit in there. So whenever TJ Miller is acting opposite that stuffed animal, the actor is responding as if it's going to be a real bunny rabbit. Why?
And so the rabbit is just shitting in his suit.
Shitting in his suit, exactly. Well, and if you look, when they seal up the engineer Smith in the escape pod, he actually does have a live bunny in his lap.
What?
Go back and watch
I missed that.
Yeah.
I'm not
Go back and
going
watch
to
it.
do that.
It's been
I
a stuffed
refuse.
animal the entire time. Now it's a live one. Who the hell
I've
knows?
totally missed it. Maybe it was part of your hallucination.
It could be. Very upsetting.
Mhm.
I think that's about it. Anything else we need? Oh, there were a lot of like bizarre references to Alice in Wonderland. If you're watching, TJ Miller has like a tattoo of the Cheshire Cat. He said we're all mad down here, kind of thing.
Yeah.
There's like a sticker. Why? Who the hell knows?
Just for fun.
Just for fun. Very upsetting. Kristen Stewart shaved her head for this role. There you go.
She did. It may be her finest role ever.
It might be her finest role ever.
Mhm.
I think that's it. There's nothing else here I want to talk about. Let's talk about the cast.
All right.
Nora Price, who is Blonde Ripley, was played by Kristen Stewart. You know her from all the Twilight movies.
I only saw the one, and that was too much.
That's all you need to know. Vincent Cassel played Captain Lucien. You know him from Black Swan, Eastern Promises.
Oh, Black Swan. That was good. Maybe we
was-
should do that.
He was in Ocean's 12, I believe.
No. I didn't see any ocean anything.
TJ Miller played Paul. You know him from Silicon Valley, Deadpool, Big Hero 6. The list goes on and on. And he's also a registered sex offender.
Very nice.
Allegedly. Don't come after me, TJ Miller. John Gallagher Jr. played Smith. Most famously for me, he was on The Newsroom, that show with Jeff Daniels, kind of where they were like a CNN type shows on HBO.
Oh, yeah, I didn't see that.
Yeah, he was also in a few other things: 10 Cloverfield Lane, Hush, Jonah Hex. If you ever saw any of those things.
Did not.
Jessica Henwick played the British marine biologist Emily.
She looked familiar.
She was one of the sand snakes from Game of Thrones.
That's it.
Yep.
That's it. No.
Yep.
No.
One of the spawn of Prince Oberyn Martell, if you must know. More recently, she was in the Iron Fist series on Netflix. So good times.
Yeah, I don't know that.
The creature, the gigantic Cthulhu creature, was simply called Godmother in the cast, and it was actually a not a stop motion, but what am I trying to say? It was like a body represented, or it was actually an actor. With a green
person
screen.
with the
Like Schmeagol, basically, or it's a real person.
where they have the ping pong balls
Yes,
all over them.
that is correct. Yeah, it wasn't claymation, which for some reason is what I'm thinking about. It was actually a person.
They brought Ray Harryhausen from the grave
From the grave!
to make Super Schmeagol.
Super Schmegmal. Oh, sweet Lord. So, anywho, let's talk about the ratings. It has a 47% rotten on Rotten Tomatoes, although the audience gave it 60%. So, take from that what you will. That seems low to me. That seems really low.
That seems very low. Are we just starved for entertainment?
That
seems possible.
Look, it ain't Shakespeare. It ain't Shakespeare, but it's a good. I mean, look, it's a horror movie. It's at the bottom of the ocean. It's effective in what it sets out to do, in my opinion. Is it the best thing I've ever seen? No, but it's good. It's inoffensive.
It's not racist. It's not Song of the South.
It's
All
not
Lives
Song of the
Matter.
South. There's no Brer Rabbit. Oh,
They
sweet.
do kill a black guy. Bang, first one to go.
But that is true. But they established that he knew his suit was defective, and specifically gave the good suit to Blonde.
These are all baby angels who work in these deep water things. They're all willing to self-sacrifice.
That is
for a
true.
moment's notice.
There's usually one person who's like, "F you guys, I'm going to do what I got to do to live." That does not happen in this movie.
No, it's all everybody's. Let me die. No, it's my turn to die.
Right, well-
let me save so that others could go on.
Well, at one point, they're like, "We think there's a body out, a survivor. We need to go see that." And everyone's like, "Okay, I volunteer." No, it's my turn.
It's my turn to cheat death.
There were scenes where people were like, "Oh, I'm afraid. There's anxiety I'm dealing with," especially Emily, the British marine biologist. But at no time,
If you got anxiety, you don't go down there to begin with.
Right.
Yikes.
But there's no scene where the person's like, "F this, you go."
That's right. That's not on my contract.
There's never that moment. So I mean,
Is this because they're all millennials? And Kristen Stewart's relationship with the captain, it was like she babies him, he babied her. That was very strange.
it was
overly familiar, I thought.
Look, it was innocent. It was innocent. Okay, so what's your rating?
So my rating is 3 3/4 cup of Cthulhu Schmegma
God.
out of 5. You're making the Schmegma worse than it is.
Yeah. I'll give it, I'll say 7 out of 10 sea monkeys. What do you think? Yeah,
All right.
That gets the job done. It gets the job done.
I almost gave it a 4, but no, it's not a 4.
It's not a
for
4.
sure.
It's not a 4. And like I said, I felt like some of the tension kind of drains as the movie proceeds.
Right.
Um,
It can't maintain that level of freak outedness.
right. There's never a respite, if you will. There's never okay, we're okay. No, it's just all downhill.
Right.
We're screwed. Oh, now we're more screwed. Okay, and now even more screwed. Okay, got it. But I volunteer to die next. That's basically what it is. Okay.
A lot of self-sacrifice.
It is. So there you have it. Go to our page on Facebook at The Podcast That Wouldn't Die. Go to our page on Twitter at TPodcastTWDie. Email us at thepodcastthatwouldn'tdie@gmail. We are on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, etc., etc., etc. And then Aaron, you're also on the social.
The Cult of Aaron. Join the cult on the Twitski and the Insta.
And the Insta.
It's not on the. Is Parlay a Parler a thing anymore, or is that gone?
I don't know. Ask your 4chan buddies. They'll let you know.
Ask your friends on the dark web.
Would you?
Apparently, my email address is on the dark web, so y'all should know how to get hold of
Clearly.
it.
Thank you very much and be well.
Peace.